Hello everybody, welcome back to Tech with Benefits. My name is Daniel and today's video is another exciting one. And you might be wondering, why am I wearing a suit jacket? Great question. Last time I spoke about the camera, I was talking about everything it could do. And it was very broad and sort of covered a wide variety of camera modes. This week, we're going granular. We're drilling down on one specific feature. And it's a feature which might make you feel a little bit more professional, a little bit more expert. Hence the jacket, and that's ExpertRAW. Let's go. ExpertRAW is a phenomenal addition to Samsung's camera feature set. It came in a couple of years ago now, and it was kind of like this hidden secret where Samsung just kind of loosely threw it into the market and just sort of let it sort of build a bit of momentum. And I was there right at the start when it came out. In fact, I'm pretty sure I found a way to download it because I don't think it was available yet here in Australia. And I was so impressed with its capabilities. Now, you might just think on the surface of looking at ExpertRAW that it just looks like Pro Mode. And for the most part, you're right. Down the bottom of ExpertRAW, you'll see all of the same controls that Pro Mode can give you with your Galaxy S23 or other Samsung phone that has Pro Mode installed. What ExpertRAW does subtly different, at least in that bottom area, is it gives you the option to save a preset of your favorite settings. So if you want to tweak and have a preferred setting for certain types of photography, go in there, add it in, and you can go into that preset area and tap on it, and all your settings will jump straight into that. The other subtle difference with ExpertRAW down as a camera mode in general is what it does is it combines the standard RAW mode controls and AI multi-frame image stacking. So it will take a multitude of frames as it's taking the photo with your settings that you've input, and then will actually compose them using AI in the same way your normal camera mode would. So it's basically like combining multi-frame image stacking and all of your settings in Pro modes that you can tinker with. So that's what makes it so powerful. And because it saves both a regular JPEG and a RAW copy, you've got an uncompressed RAW file, which has all of the same Pro mode tinkering that you can do, plus all the information from multiple frames being stacked on top of each other. That's what makes ExpertRAW such a powerful combination. And there's a different layout and UI in ExpertRAW too. Once you've taken the photo, you'll see you can't actually zoom in too far, and there's a little Lightroom button. So when you press that, it automatically uploads it to your Lightroom app and allows you to control and edit it straight in there. So there's some shortcuts and some, again, expert features added in there to take care of that. Now that on its own was where I guess ExpertRAW originally set itself apart. There wasn't much more that it made itself different versus normal Pro mode outside of that. And for a lot of people, that was enough. Most people actually used ExpertRAW to take their photos without even tinkering any of the settings because they liked the image processing that ExpertRAW would do. The only annoying part is that ExpertRAW was the separate app that you always had to remember to go to. Samsung have been kind enough, well, thank you, to put ExpertRAW in the More tab. The only frustrating thing is you can't drag ExpertRAW down. It's because it's basically just created a shortcut to the app within Samsung's camera app. So that's all they've really done. Where ExpertRAW sets itself apart now with the S23 launch, and some of this stuff has gone back to S22 as well, is two new features. The first one is astrophotography. And it's not just done astrophotography kind of like the way the Pixel does it, where it basically just gives you 4 minutes of multiple image stacking and then it shoots out a photo after it's combined them all together. It does that, but this goes a step further. It gives you 4, 7, or 10-minute intervals that you can choose to let the camera sit there on a tripod. Please don't try this handheld. You will not like it. So when you get to those photos, again, it's using those multiple image stacking techniques, giving you a nice clean image at the end result. Where astrophotography sets itself apart is you can give yourself a sky guide. So because you've got the internet, you simply just have to point it at the sky and it will recognize through location and some other means what it's looking at. That gives you the ultimate guide for taking photos of the stars. Give it a go. I haven't quite got the best environment where I live. You can see my results, but are they going to be as good as what you'd get if you went into pitch blackness and had the ideal conditions? Probably not. But in saying that, it's still worth a go wherever you are, providing you got clear sky. The other part to ExpertRAW that they've added in with the S23 Ultra, and this is a labs section feature, so in the settings of ExpertRAW, you'll need to make sure this is turned on. I think it is by default, so you shouldn't have to worry. But it's manual multiple image stacking. I think that's what it's called. It might come up on the screen if I've got it wrong. Basically, you can kind of set the parameters for stacking images on top of each other yourself. I haven't quite figured out for myself the best way to try and use this. I feel like it would work best in lower light situations. That being said, the way it kind of works is if you've got it set to manual, for example, you can set how many images you want to capture, and then after you've captured each image, you can actually tinker with the settings to give it a different level of exposure, light sensitivity, and the rest of it. So best to know what you're doing there probably. However, that option there didn't exist before. You can also jump in and set it to do continuous, which continuous means that the camera will take those frames for you. And there's also different, exposures that you can have set automatically and let the camera sort of decide what exposures to stack on top of each other if you so please. So that's in there as well. The other then final piece, I guess, of the puzzle with the S23 series is that ExpertRAW lets you process 50 megapixel shots. So you can go in with ExpertRAW 50 megapixel and capture a photo. Now, why is that good? Well, as I explained in the video about normal Pro mode, is that you have all of the information from your tinkered settings unprocessed in RAW format, plus 50 megapixels of resolution thrown in there for good measure. And you have yourself a highly detailed, information-dense photo to go and edit. So I went and edited one. And I think you can see from the results, particularly when you zoom in with Lightroom, how much detail is actually preserved in the photo itself. And because you have all the information as well, it makes editing so much easier. You have much more control, and you can really make that photo in your own image. And that's what the magic of ExpertRAW, that you have all of that flexibility. ExpertRAW exists because Samsung wanted to give the consumer more that they could do with their camera, particularly if they know what they're doing. I think ExpertRAW can be used by the amateur smartphone photographer. Just simply use it as a point and shoot, and you'll be very pleased with the images you get. But on the other end, you have all these settings that you can tinker with. And if you know what you're doing, you will get the most out of the cameras on these phones. But that's it for me this week. A rather short one compared to weeks gone by. Come hang out with me on Instagram and Twitter. I love some tech conversations on Twitter. Instagram I'm more using to sort of just put some photos that I take with these phones. So come find me there. If you're liking what you're seeing here, consider subscribing, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. You!